I just woke from taking a nap, which I don't normally, but I woke up and I was really groggy. I'm still somewhat groggy, and I was able to hear as if it was playing, but my room is quiet, but I could hear it, a song, and I knew that I wrote the song, and it was more of like a what do you say, like orchestrate, more like, it wasn't quite traditional, it was very interesting, but it was like, started with, I don't even know how to say it, it was just more of like, we're not a band, I want to say, a whole like orchestra would play, like the introductory part was like included trumpets, and it was just really something. But I knew, like, I woke and I knew that there was really no music playing in my room, but it was like it was playing. I could hear it so well, and I was like immediately, I was so groggy, but it was like immediately I was like, oh, I just wish I could write the notes and I would just write it down real quick, because how else am I gonna remember? And it was like, I knew I couldn't really do that. And even like the beginning vocals was, I already can't remember it, but I was just immediately thinking, oh, I need to get my recording app and start doing the oohs and the ahs. I don't know, it was just so, I definitely have whatever Claire, which I knew I did, but like the ability to hear in all kinds of ways. But I'm gonna write music. I already knew that, because when I'm alone and in certain kind of moods, tunes and stuff definitely come to me, and sometimes I don't always have a way of recording. I just know that these hunters and people who, all this stuff that people have been trying to do to me, and the fact that I'm still somewhat in hiding and there's still not justice, that my life is not over anytime soon. I have songs to write, and it was really, really cool. It was so not like my normal, I love like old school R&B, but this was not that. This was more like a symphony. It was more like a symphony. It was really interesting. I have vocals, and I guess I'm still kind of taken back how I just knew that it was my work. It was my, if I dare say, masterpiece, but it was my creative work. I knew that immediately, and I was smiling from ear to ear, even though I think my eyes were still closed, but I had just woken, but I was like laying here still, smiling so big, listening to my music that I knew I was gonna write. Isn't that like really strange? I'm still like, oh my gosh. I feel like this has happened before. I think this has happened at least once, where something similar, where I knew it's definitely always music related. Oh my gosh. It's sort of like, in a way, but this was good, it's sort of like when I had the vision of the Mennonites beheading somebody, and I think it was current time when that happened, and I hadn't had a vision like that. I had just woken, and it was like the projector of a TV or something was like mid-air, and it was full color, and I had this vision, and it was like nothing like that had ever happened before. And I knew that it happened for a reason. Like, obviously it was a very serious and sobering and awful thing that I was viewing, and I knew it was for ultimately for me to be sharing it, not for me just to know. And it was also very, very like more of a sobering confirmation that like any of my, I still have doubts to this day about the things that are happening, and I remind myself, no, the people really did come into your ductwork, and they really did take their lives, and people didn't take their lives because you're having some crazy imagination, and you're not crazy, and that's just, you know, the way that your soon-to-be ex and all these other people have tried to like play on you for years, as if, you know, trying to project some kind of, you know, insanity and make me just doubt, you know, major gaslighting. But this was so beautiful, but similar in some ways. It wasn't a vision. Like, I didn't actually see anything. My eyes were closed, for crying out loud, but I did see. It was like, I don't know, a whole freaking, it wasn't a band, like I said. It was like a whole big stage. It was like a whole big production being, you know, lively. The music was live, and the singing was live, and there was a whole audience. And I just know that this is like in the future. This is not just a dream or just a, you know, daydream, or like I wish I could write music. I wish I knew how. But apparently I don't have to know how, because the stuff just comes to me, and it's gonna come to me. But this was such a beautiful, like, rendition, if you want to say, of like this beautiful, I do have a thing for classical music and opera, and, you know, hip-hop and R&B are like my go-to for like every day. But I do definitely love more like, you know, the kind of thing I wouldn't really want to listen to all the time, but I love it, you know. Like musicals, like old movies and musicals. I did grow up watching a lot of musicals, like even like Mary Poppins or The Sound of Music, or there's so many of them, Babes in Toyland. But like, I love all that stuff. I love all the, you know, I always have. Even though I remember what was the one with the two mice, and it has that really pretty song, Somewhere Out There, you know, beneath the pale moonlight, someone's thinking of me and loving me tonight. I always used to cry and sing that song, and I think it stirred up emotions of just wishing somebody did love me. But oh my gosh, this was so beautiful. I feel like I have so many gifts that I haven't tapped into, that I've barely scratched the surface on. I wonder if people like Mozart, which I just recently, in the last few months, learned he was blind, and that blew my mind. Oh my god. Like, I wonder if Mozart, or they had to have had things like this happen where, you know, sort of like poetry, like you might wake and you have like a certain line, you know, a certain like rhyming couple of lines, and it's like, you know, if you don't get a pen in your hand or a recording app ASAP, at least if you're like me, you're gonna like lose it because it just comes and goes. But I wonder if songwriters of all kinds, really, Mozart's just a non-modern example, but I wonder if these, you know, even Babyface, or someone who's more, I think he's not alive now, but if these people who write music, this has to happen to them too. Like, this is so interesting to me. Okay,